Welcome back to Cox Connections. The James Monroe Museum sits in the heart of historic downtown Fredericksburg. Here to tell us about the legacy of our fifth president and the role the museum plays in our community is Scott Harris, director of the James Monroe Museum. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about President James Monroe.
James Monroe, our fifth president from 1817 to 1825, had probably one of the best resumes of public service of any person to occupy the office. He was a local official, he was a state legislator, he was governor of Virginia 4 times, he was a diplomat to France, Great Britain, and Spain. He was a cabinet secretary in the administration of James Madison, and then he was president for 2 terms in his own right. Really one of the longest resumes. You have to go to George H.W. Bush to find someone who had almost as many offices as he did.
That's amazing. And he did so many impressive things in his career, especially as president, that we still hear about today.
He did. Monroe's inspiration for public service was his service in the Revolutionary War. He said that to the end of his life, that the principles of the Republic that he fought for and took a bullet for, literally, at the Battle of Trenton, really set the course for his life. And as a result, as a legislator, he was very concerned about westward expansion of the country, about national defense. As a diplomat, he helped negotiate the Louisiana Purchase, tried to find a diplomatic solution with the British to stave off war, which ultimately didn't happen. As Secretary of State and Secretary of War for Madison, he was deeply involved in our response to the War of 1812. And then as president, he tried to promote national unity. His presidency was called the Era of Good Feeling. He recognized South American republics that were getting their freedom from Spain. And he put forth the Monroe Doctrine that was a cornerstone of our foreign policy about keeping European influences out of this hemisphere and keeping us out of Europe's business, and lasted for a couple of centuries.
Wow. Tell us about the museum that honors his legacy.
The museum was founded in 1927 by descendants, his great-granddaughter and great-great-grandson, who brought their family collection to the place that Monroe had practiced law, Fredericksburg, from 1786 to 89, and it was property that he owned that they saved from destruction. A gas station nearby was going to expand into it, and they started the family museum. Initially, they had a recreation of what they thought his law office looked like, and for a lot of reasons that turned out to be something a little different than the truth. So we made it into a gallery-based museum a number of years ago, and it has been part of the Commonwealth of Virginia since 1964, and has been part of what is today the University of Mary Washington since 1972, and that's who administers the museum.
And so what will people see, and what can they expect when they come to visit?
We have the largest collection of artifacts and images and archives related to Monroe, to his career, his family, clothing that the Monroe family wore on diplomatic assignments, including the coronation of Napoleon. The desk on which the Monroe Doctrine was written, which had been part of the furniture they had in the White House. Examples of the first White House china that was ever procured for the first family. And then a variety of things from his Revolutionary War service, from his younger days growing up in Westmoreland County, and many things that reflect the public service life that the Monroes led.
That's fascinating. And yet you also have year-round programs that tell different sides of the story.
We do. Being part of a university gives us the opportunity to do the very strongly academic stuff. We've had for 27 years a James Monroe lecture that brings historians from around the country for early national topics that relate to his career. We also do programs for Black History Month, for Women's History Month, working with appropriate offices within the university. But then we do fun things. We have Major Monroe's History Camp. I'm not saying other things aren't fun, but you know. We did a program on pirates last year. We're doing a walking tour of James Monroe's Fredericksburg this year. So we try to mix it up a bit. We are both a museum that's devoted toward public service and also to training young museum professionals who are part of the university's programs in history and historic preservation and museum studies. So it gives us a chance to let them learn, let us do a lot of different programs for the public, and meet our mission.
And yet it's in downtown Fredericksburg, in the city, and there are a lot of other museums and historical sites with it, right?
It is, yeah. Unlike a lot of university museums, we're not the result of an alumnus doing anything, and we're not even about the university's history. It's sort of a marriage of convenience that happened a long time ago, but it works. We are part of a great mix of museums downtown that cover really from colonial history to contemporary times. A lot of emphasis on the Civil War with the Fredericksburg and Spotsylvania and Chancellorsville battlefields in the region. But George Washington's sister's home, Kenmore, and his boyhood home, Ferry Farm, is there. The Mary Washington House, the Rising Sun Tavern, Hugh Mercer Apothecary, places that Monroe and his contemporaries knew. We have great shopping, great dining. You know, I can go on all day. It's a great city.
Wonderful. And I know that you're all funded really through money from the state and then through donations, right?
We are. We get a state appropriation, like every state agency. We had some of that taken away last year due to the economic situation. But it does give us a stable base of funding. But for about 25% of our budget, we do have to go to the community, to our visitors who pay admission or who shop in our store, hopefully. And we also fund all of our public programming by non-governmental funds. So it is a significant part of our budget, but the state funding obviously is very important as well.
Great. Tell us how our viewers can learn more about your programs, events, how they can get involved with the museum.
Well, the easiest portal for most people today, I think, would be to go to the website, www.jamesmonroemuseum.org. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We just got on Instagram, you know, kind of catching up to that. And it doesn't take much to find us in cyberspace, so that's maybe one of the easiest ways. But 908 Charles Street, Fredericksburg, Virginia, we're there, open every day of the week.
Great. Look forward to coming to see you. Scott Harris, the director of the James Monroe Museum, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We have more Cox Connections after the break.